Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. The path to $20 silver. Let's explore. Yes, silver has been languishing now for a while, as we have talked about in prior videos, and it's been pretty frustrating for many of us out there. You know, we always hear the words, be patient, and patience may pay off soon in terms of the price movement of silver. We did see $19 silver briefly last week, and that leads us to what is the path to $20 silver. Kitco had an article here that talked about how, the precious metal is being driven by the similar things as gold. And that's true. There is a safe haven appeal, but we also have the industrial demand outlook as well that could bode well for silver in both a bull and bear market. And I think there's different things that could lead to silver's increase in price that could possibly narrow that ratio to gold, but it certainly is less likely these days. It certainly does seem. There's a lot of frustration out there. But the silver had a pretty interesting first quarter and second quarter for 2020. The price has went up. And there's some optimism about a faster than expected economic recovery that will continue to drive real estate rates or real rates lower and lift industrial investor demand. Silver outperformed gold by a factor of 2 as it jumped some 33% over the previous 3 months. According to TD Securities commodity strategist, but that's only a very short amount of time. The ratio is not narrowed down, though, that much. It's below 100 now, but not by a whole lot. And I do believe that's important thing to consider when making your purchase decisions there for more reasons than one. People carry different opinions on that. But make no mistake, silver is following in the footsteps of gold as both precious metals have rallied, reaching new significant levels. However, silver has not really been able to break out above those 2016 highs of $21. And by most measures, we would have thought that it would have gotten here to that point. But, with silver reaching flirting with $19 an ounce, it could be that gold could rise up even more as gold continues its forward climb. And gold really, other than a few slight pullbacks, gold has been steadily going up and up and up. Silver has risen and gold slipstreamed $19 per troy ounce, which was its highest level since September of last year. Silver has outperformed gold in recent days, only in recent days, causing the gold to silver ratio to drop below 96 very briefly. So but it's above that again. But it was almost 100 a couple of days ago. They're being lent tailwind by a weaker U.S. dollar. Gold and silver both enjoy increased buying interest from in the paper markets and the ETF investors, which is adding weight to the rally. And make no mistake, the prices that we see are reflective of what futures prices are doing, and the interest in those markets. That's the primary driver. But I think in order for really the silver to perform like we think it should, there's got to be a whole lot more demand on the physical side. And it's going to take more folks like you and me buying more of these things than not. And I'm seeing many, many different opinions here in the community of people selling their silver and converting and switching over to gold. I'm taking a different approach. I'm not necessarily selling my silver. I'm just had been focused more on gold in recent years. But I'm holding on to my silver because you never know. I think it does have some upside potential, but doesn't mean that potential will be realized. I'm very cautious about it. And I think that if we do see $20 silver, we should not necessarily be celebrating in the streets. But I believe there is a path to $20 silver. And actually, I have even predicted that we'll get there by the end of 2020, but it could happen sooner. And but there is this increase in safe haven demand. It's being boosted by the rising number of coronavirus infections in the U.S., according to this article here from Kitco. Geopolitical tensions are also rising, which is adding to silver's safe haven appeal. I've heard some news about potential skirmishes between India and China, and obviously the South China Sea is a big issue. Obviously, what's been going on with the coronavirus and its origins, that is another concern with trade relations between the United States and China. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen in the next couple of months here with the white metal here. But I believe that it's going to follow the coattails of gold, and I believe that it could hit $20 an ounce without having much effect on the ratio at this point too. And the ratio is really what I'm looking at, folks. I know some people think that I should not consider the ratio or worry about the ratio of gold to silver because of what's been going on as of late, but I think it's important because of how the metal was viewed. If silver ends up going up along with gold, but maintaining that same ratio, then we have to look at silver through a new lens, and that lens is through the lens of an industrialized metal as a commodity, as opposed to a hedge. But now, if we do see an increase in silver prices and gold remains flat, then that is another factor that could come into play that could have a two-pronged approach. Silver going up because of an industrial demand, because of the V-shaped recovery, or the engines of the economy are making their way back into the production mode, and there's an increased demand for silver in that regard, causing the price to go up, and we could have the ratio narrow there. We could see $20 silver, $20+ silver in that kind of environment, and it still be seen as a safe haven, or seen as an industrial, as a commodity. But I think in order for it to really take off, we're going to need to see a lot more demand from stackers out there. Now, there's people accumulating, buying the metal, or not selling the metal. And I've always been under I've had the philosophy of buying less when it's higher price and buying more when it's lower price, but understanding too that the volatility that we've seen with silver as of late makes it tough. I'm risk averse. And I think that's one of the reasons why I switched to gold, or am buying more gold. I haven't really switched to gold. I'm just concentrating more on gold as a purchase, as a preserver of wealth. For silver to preserve your wealth, you have to be dynamic in your purchases and be fluid with how you do it, with a dollar cost averaging, smart dollar cost averaging out there. But I think there is a path for $20 silver, and I think it could work probably more or less in relation to just following gold where it is at the current ratio, because I don't believe we're going to see this vast industrialized demand because we are in a recession right now, and that is something that is a reality that I think is going to take a while before we see ramping up of production for things like consumer electronics and the like. People are buying that stuff still, but we're still a ways off from seeing any kind of recovery in that aspect. So what do? We just press on, and we hold tight, because you don't know where silver could go, because of its volatility. We could see an increased price demand, and the people think, well, gold is way too expensive for me, and it's time for me to get into silver, or to stack silver because of its upside potential, and given where prices are, premiums starting to kind of eke back down a bit, but they're still pretty high at this point. And I think that's turned off a lot of buyers as well too, these high premiums. And so that is something to consider, because if you have $20 silver and you've got to pay $27, $28, maybe even $30 an ounce for a silver eagle, it really is a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And with people trying to find their way out in this market, being very frustrated, patience is very tough. When some of us feel like we've been patient for a long, long time. And for me, I'm holding it out, but I don't really have a convenient way to sell. And a lot of it I really don't want to sell anyway. I'm more of a collector than a stacker in many aspects. But you know, it's one of those things. You just have to be patient and hold on, hope for the best, and prepare for potentially the worst. And when you're holding silver, the worst is that it will languish, and the gold to silver ratio will expand, and you make purchases, and the price goes down, and you end up losing money at the time you sell. That's the ultimately worst scenario, is losing literally the currency that you put into it when it comes time to sell. And I think people are taking that loss and cutting their losses and pressing on. And I would encourage you to try not to do that. Try to wait and be patient a little bit longer if you can. But I'm always of the mind that I stack and hold anyway. I just hold on, and until the time of liquidation, when it becomes convenient for you. Don't ever want to sell when it's inconvenient. That's really the bottom line when you hold precious metals, gold and silver. But nonetheless, there is that path to $20, and I think it's the path that we're kind of on anyway. Any kind of little thing that happens geopolitically, or with this virus, or the perception of this virus and how the media perceives it and how it rattles the markets, those are the things I think that will bring us to that path of $20 silver quicker than ever. But gold will certainly follow as well, and gold will probably be much higher, perhaps $2,000 or $1,950 or something like that, and so that is the kind of reality that we live in today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.